When I think about multitasking, this is how it makes me feel. Just kind of dizzy, confused, happy on one end because maybe I'm able to get a lot of stuff done, but also disorganized, just kind of all over the place. And just like it makes me feel less productive to some degree. Well, we're going to talk about ways you can combine multitasking to actually be more efficient and accomplish what you really desire because we all have very busy lives. There's things that we cannot actively do without combining it with other activities. So let's talk about active and passive learning and how you can combine them to actually become very efficient at learning some various skills, learning from active practice, and then from just something that's kind of passive in the background. Okay? So, active and passive learning are both key to mastering a skill. When you are learning a new skill, you need hands-on to actually be able to really learn how to actively do it. But once you get to a certain point, it becomes kind of in the background. You just know how to do it and you don't have to really worry about it. You just know. You just know. Just like you know how to speak, just like you know how to type on a keyboard, just like you just know these various things because you've learned it over time. So let's talk about what is active practice exactly? Active practice is basically an active form of education. This is often something that is through studying, whether it be reading, actively watching something and applying those principles. Like if you're learning a brand new software, learning how to do even cooking, you're actively doing that task and you're putting in the time and the effort to do that task. Studying, if you have books, reading through the books, applying those materials there, because it's one thing to just be reading the books, but it is a different thing to actually be putting those things into practice. Because that's why you need hands-on approach. Hands-on approach is a way for you to implement your teachings into your active means of education. So writing, speaking, if you're learning, different things here and there, all of it is to train your mind to not just memorize these skills, but so that you just know them. That you don't have to memorize anything, you just know them. That is different from memory. Memory is just something that it's just almost like a temporary thing. It's almost like the RAM in your computer. When you shut it down, the RAM is cleared. But the things that you just know are the things that are on your hard drive, the things that are just actively in your brain. Those don't get deleted all by themselves. So that's the way you can kind of view it when it comes to these active skills, that you're actively learning something, putting in the time and effort and practice hands-on so that it becomes from memory to something that you just know. And let's talk about passive skills, or a passive way of learning, rather. So passive learning is, for example, maybe you're listening to educational material in the background. So you found some important lectures that are important to the skill that you're learning and you listen to them. This is something you could do actively. You could actively watch and listen and see what they have to say and study the material there, but you can also do so passively. But here's the interesting thing. When you do so passively, you're often not, because you're not really actively paying attention to it, you're not retaining the information the same way you would if you're actually sitting down and watching it and listening to it and studying it. It's very different. But that doesn't mean that it can't be helpful, because when you're actively listening to something, it goes into your subconscious. And this includes negative things and bad things that you're listening to as well. So if you're listening to horrible things in the background that are perhaps not good, perhaps even bad music, bad videos, things that are just really just vile, those things eventually over time, they're in your subconscious mind and they change how you are. So it's best to keep the things in the background something educational. But here's how they both work together. When you're playing something in the background that's related to something that you're actively studying, especially if, let's say, the educational video or audio that you're listening to in the background is something that you first watched just from start to finish without interrupting, just watching it, even though you didn't understand any of it. Because that's usually how it is. When you're learning a new skill, you find a video and you watch it and you have no idea what this person is talking about, but you just watch it anyway and just, okay. Imagine in the background of when you're cooking, when you're cleaning, when you're at work, when you're exercising, whatever else, you just have it playing in the background on repeat. Let's just say it's an hour-long lecture, educational video. You play it all the way through, it loops back to the beginning, it plays again, it loops back to the beginning, it keeps playing. After maybe 10, 15, 20 times of listening to it again and again and again, you finally understand it. It finally starts to make more sense because you're listening to it in the background. And then it's like, oh, that's starting to make sense now. And you begin to wonder, it's like, well, how did I just know these things? Because they have now been part of your subconscious mind. Because now they have been ingrained in your subconscious mind. Because that is where your ability to just know comes from. It's not your memory. It's your subconscious mind deep down that you just know. You just know. And that's really what you want to be able to do when you're learning something. So, when you're actively learning a new skill, it's important to have hands-on, active materials to actually learn, as well as passive audio that you're listening to and other things that are in the background, because that will help accelerate your learning potential. You will be able to learn so much more by combining both of these together. And that can be considered multitasking. That's where I began this, right? This multitasking, that's what makes me kind of confused here. Because the thing is, this is kind of a multitasking, but it's a productive multitasking. If you're cooking and you're listening to audio in the background, that's multitasking. You're only giving your active focus to your cooking, but the thing in the background that's playing, it's going into your subconscious mind. Eventually, over time, you will just know it very, very easily. But it's not going to just happen after one listen, two listens. It usually takes at least 10 probably, if not maybe even more. It all depends on how it's going into your subconscious mind. Because if you're just kind of thinking that you're just going to play it in the background and just talk to other people and interact with other people and do other things while you're not even listening to it, it's really not going to help you all that much. So it's something that you need to still listen to some degree. You have to be listening to it to some degree as you're cooking and cleaning and whatever other activities that you're doing. So it kind of wants to be there and you kind of want to pay attention to it. But when you combine both of these, it's a great way to learn new skills. So I'm curious to know if you have combined these. What is your personal preference when it comes to learning these new skills? Like, is there one that you think is better than another? I'm really curious to hear it. So you all take care. Thank you so very much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.